The sum function is one of the most commonly used functions in Excel. In this video, I have gathered several tips and tricks that will help you simplify the task of summing data. When entering the sum function, we will see a tooltip with its syntax. This means that the arguments of the function are separated by commas. If we need to sum three numbers that are not in adjacent cells, we should separate the cell addresses with a comma. But here's a simple trick that will make entering arguments much easier. Type the name of the function, and then also specify the cells, but press and hold the Control key. In this case, the comma between arguments will be inserted automatically. This trick works with other functions as well, so make sure to use it, it's a great time saver. Additionally, here's a small life hack. If you want to estimate the sum of certain values, but don't need the final value to be displayed on the sheet, you can do without the sum function. Hold down the Control key, and select all the cells whose sum you want to know. The status bar of the program will display the sum of the values of all selected cells. If you right-click on the status bar, you can customize it to show exactly what you want. There are other features here that may be useful. The sum function is commonly used to add values in adjacent cells, such as in rows or columns. While this is its most typical application, many users may not be aware that the sum function can automatically include new data if it appears in the table. For example, if there is a column with values, and this table can expand by 3 more rows. Therefore, let's leave these rows empty, and create the sum formula below. We only specify the range with the already entered values. Now, if new data is entered into the column, the sum function will automatically catch them, expanding the range and updating the calculation result. However, this logic will only apply to new values located directly below, or to the right of the range specified in the formula. The sum function is often used to calculate totals. Typically, there is a row for totals in tables. Often, a formula is created for one column, and then the formula is copied to adjacent columns using autofill. This method works but is not efficient. Excel has a tool that allows you to automate the task of calculating totals. It's called AutoSum and you can find it on the Home or Formulas tab. However, it's most convenient to use it via keyboard shortcuts. The shortcut to invoke AutoSum is Alt equals. So, let's solve the same task using the AutoSum function. We place the table cursor in the cell for the total, and press Alt equals key combination. A formula with the sum function is automatically created, and the range with the necessary values is filled in. But we can make it even easier. We select the entire range of values, and the total row. Then invoke AutoSum, for example, from the Home tab. The entire total row will be automatically generated. If the totals need to be calculated not only by months, but also by products, we need to ensure that the selection captures not only the total row but also the column. This time, we'll press Alt equals key combination to insert the totals. Now, let's make it a little more difficult. There are 2 similar tables for 2 stores, and in addition to the totals for each store, we need to calculate the overall total. Here again, the AutoSum feature will help. We select the first table, then while holding down the Control key, we select the second one. We press Alt equals key combination to insert the AutoSum. The monthly totals will be calculated for both tables. Now, we select a range that includes both tables, as well as an additional row for the overall totals, and a column for the totals by product. We call AutoSum again, and get both the row totals, and the overall totals for the 2 stores. We can easily verify that only the values of the 2 rows have been summed in the overall totals using the status bar. We select 2 cells from any month and see that the value in the overall totals is correct. To understand how the AutoSum works, let's create a simple column of values and sum them by pressing Alt equals key combination. Now we'll enter another series of values below, and repeat the operation. As you can see, the AutoSum function has automatically detected the range of values, highlighting it only up to the previously entered formula. If we now insert another AutoSum function just below the previous one, Excel will automatically add the values from the previously entered formulas to the new formula. This approach allows us to quickly summarize the overall totals in tables like these. When working with functions, especially the sum function, it's important to remember that Excel works with numbers and will try to convert text values to numbers if they look numeric. Let's look at the same table, but this time with data presented by years instead of months. We will again use AutoSum to create a totals row. As you can see, the AutoSum function treats the header values as numbers and includes them in the range, which leads to incorrect results. Therefore, be careful and, if you use such headers, ensure that they are text. You can do this by appending a word to the value. You can also explicitly convert the value to text by preceding it with an apostrophe. This symbol converts any cell value into text, and in this case, AutoSum will work correctly. Since we're talking about text, it's also worth noting that the sum function ignores text values in the selected range, which can be very convenient. For example, there is no data for some period in the table and the phrase no data is substituted for the value. If we summarize the range of values, we will get the correct result, because text values will be ignored in the calculation. Often, tables have the same structure but contain data for different periods or objects. Typically, such data is placed on separate sheets, resulting in the need to obtain an overall summary table, which is also placed on a separate sheet. The sum function allows you to easily sum data from specific cells or ranges across different sheets. For example, let's find the sum of the values in cell B4 on the sheets January, February, and March. To do this, we enter the function into the desired cell, switch to the January sheet, and specify the first cell to be summed. Next, we press and hold the Shift key and click on the tab of the last sheet of interest. This way, we select the sheets for January, February, and March. The formula will only reference one cell address, but it will return the sum of values from these three sheets. If we need to sum all data that is in the same ranges on different sheets, we proceed similarly but first select the entire range of interest and then enter the formula. We similarly specify the first cell of the range we're interested in and select all the sheets with data to be summed. We then press Ctrl-Enter, and the formula will fill the entire previously selected range. Since the formula uses relative referencing for the cell, it will properly adjust in the formulas filled in other cells of the table. Additionally, the sum function can be a very powerful tool for finding and summing data in large tables, but this topic will be covered in a special video. Please rate the video if you find it useful, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.